You know how sometimes you come across brands and it feels like you know them, like you get their personality? So that right there is brand voice. Let's talk about how you can create a powerful brand voice that's true to your personality so you can start attracting your target audience to your business. Let's get started. So what the heck is a brand voice? Your brand voice is literally the way in which your brand communicates and talks to people. So this can include everything from how you answer customers on social media to the way that you describe your services on your website. All of this is set in some sort of tone, whether you're aware of it or not, and it expresses something about the personality that's behind your brand. And guess what? A huge aspect of what will set you apart as a small business and get people interested in your brand is your voice, if it's consistent and authentic. So what goes into creating a brand voice that stands out? We actually made a video about how you shouldn't stress about being unique, especially when it comes to visual branding, which I know might sound like a little bit weird, and you can check out the video we made to learn more about why that is. All of that said, what you do need to succeed as a brand is to be authentic and be consistently authentic. Being like everyone else just isn't gonna cut it anymore. People are too internet savvy at this point to be played by brands that are putting on an insincere face just so they can sell. And authenticity is especially important for a small business. You can so easily get lost in the jungle of other companies and businesses out there when you sound exactly like them. Trust me, there are a ton of people that are fighting for your audience's attention. But you also have an advantage as a small business. You're not necessarily bound by any corporate requirements, and you likely will have a much closer connection to your customers than bigger companies do. So you can really use that to get to know what they like and how your brand voice will resonate with them. If this is all sounding a little abstract, which would make a lot of sense, let's take a look at a couple of examples. Cards Against Humanity is a great example of a brand that nailed their voice. If you're unfamiliar with them, Cards Against Humanity is an adult party game that involves fill-in-the-blank statements using offensive or politically incorrect words. So think like apples to apples, but rude. So the way that they talk to their audience, through emails on their website, it's full of sass and snark, and they pride themselves on being offensive. But rather than alienating their customer base, their chutzpah in their brand voice is exactly what attracts people to their brand. People know that they can rely on the brand to consistently toe the line and make them laugh in the process. And that's why they love them. That's why their voice is so effective, because it was created with their customers in mind, all while staying authentic to the personality of their brand. You don't have to have a funny voice to have a cool brand voice. So if you take a look at a company like ASOS, which is a famous e-commerce site that's all about fashion and beauty, their brand voice is cool, collected, and I would argue even celebration oriented. Even if you take a look at their product descriptions, which I have to say I'm obsessed with and probably nobody else even reads, they still stay on brand and keep the tone, which is what I love so much about them. Now, if you're thinking that this authentic brand voice thing only is relevant to big companies, think again. Let's take a look at this last example of Nadia Cakes. So Nadia Cakes is an LA-based cupcake shop that I have never visited but I'm obsessed with, all because of their brand voice. There was an incident, let's say, which made them go viral, and it's how I found their brand while aimlessly scrolling on social media. Their posts and comments are so entertaining that I started following them, and I think thousands of other people did the same for the same reason. Their voice is fun and funny and witty, which is exactly up my alley, and even though their cupcakes aren't currently relevant for me just because of where I live, I know that if I ever go to LA, I'll absolutely be going there to check them out. And I think this is such a good example of how you can use your brand voice to reach new audiences that otherwise might never have come in contact with your brand. So now that you know why having an authentic brand voice is important, let's go ahead and create yours. So to come up with your brand voice, ask yourself these questions and make sure to write down the answers. 1, what story do you want to be telling with your voice? So when I talk about a story, I mean the story of your brand that puts your customer at the center. They need help with something and your brand is here to solve it. So this could be something like, my customers want to reduce stress in a healthy way, so I've created a mindfulness course that helps them learn how. 2, how do you want your brand to make people feel? Write down 3 adjectives like secure, entertained, comforted, something like that. 3, which people or brands make me feel the same way? Try to think of other brands that you feel connected to. How is it that they speak to their audience? Make sure to note it and write it down. 4, which brand voices would not resonate with my target audience? Come up with specific examples, maybe even writing down some brands that you know of. You can always pull up traits here too, like my audience would shy away from a brand that's raunchy or political or soft-spoken. So now you're gonna take all of that and come up with 3 traits that describe your brand voice and help express your brand's personality while also helping to support your brand story. So those traits could be like friendly, vulnerable, and comforting, or something like witty and charming and helpful. Whatever 3 traits you think your audience will best respond to. You want to make sure to also get this on paper so you can implement your brand voice consistently, from your website to your social media posts and literally anywhere else your brand will show up. The more consistently you communicate as a brand, the more people will come to expect to feel a certain way when they come in contact with you. And if they like how they feel, they're going to keep coming back. All of this is just to say you have everything you need to get started. If you have some ideas already about what your brand voice might sound like, we'd love to know in the comments, so please let us know. And thank you so much for watching.